This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911, real heroes, real cases. Step into one of New York's busiest ERs.
Here it is. It's out. It's out. Look.
I was very concerned that he was going to die that night.
Tiffany fell 8 stories and landed on the pavement below.
Plus,
the last 17 years of police work, I've never seen any survivors from carbon monoxide.
paramedics fight to keep an entire family alive on Rescue 911.
This story is not a recreation. It's a visit to the busiest hospital facility of its kind in the world. More than 60,000 patients a year are treated at this New York City Medical Center. Though their names may be peculiar, like Apple, Purdy, Mickey, and Teaser, the care they receive and the bond between them and the people they live with is no laughing matter.
So it happened about an hour ago. And
Yeah.
Okay, do you know how old he is?
7 months old.
I'm going to take him to the back room so we can get started on this. We're going to need to sedate him.
7-month-old Tano Jr. is rushed into the emergency room.
I was helping him to take a bath, and I tried to rinse him, and then suddenly he screamed.
Tano, a Yorkshire Terrier puppy, had gotten his toe wedged in the bathtub drain.
That's not going to fit back through. We're going to have to cut this thing off. All right, little guy. It was a relatively simple problem, but it's a rather serious problem too, because there's always a risk that he could lose his toe.
All right, little guy, be brave. We're almost done.
They have plans.
All right, all right.
Wait, here it is. It's out.
It's out.
It's out. Look, honey.
Oh my God,
Wow.
look at the size of his toe.
The skin is still pink. The nail may wind up falling off simply because there's been damage in that area. It looks like it'll be okay. Here he is.
Hi, Junior. Good boy. Good boy.
Boy, Tano.
Go.
She recognized the owner immediately and was very happy to see her, licking her face and everything. It feels good just to be able to release an animal like that.
They happened to save his toe, I guess. They really happened to.
When we continue.
I asked what had happened, and he said that his cat had fallen out of the window, and my next question was, well, what floor was that? And that was the 8th floor.
On September 2nd, 1994, snake lovers Katie Mahaffey and Robert Filipovich returned to the Animal Medical Center's Bobst Hospital. They have come for follow-up tests on their 9-foot python Cecil, who became gravely ill 2 weeks earlier.
We tried to feed him, and he got half of his food down and was caught in his throat. At that point, we realized that we had to get the animal out of his mouth and then take him to the Animal Medical Center as quickly as possible.
I have the same love for Cecil that I have for my cats. He is a very sweet-natured snake. He loves people. He's very social. I was very concerned that he was going to die that night. I had him wrapped in a sheet, and I was concerned that when I opened that sheet that I was going to see him dead there.
Okay, the snake was exposed to a flea collar, and because of that, he became very sick and very weak, and wasn't moving.
My biggest concern now is his neck is just, he's still got terrible problem with his neck.
Right. The type of toxins found in the flea collar are something called organophosphates. It causes a dysfunction in an enzyme. And when that enzyme doesn't work, his nerves don't function properly, and therefore his muscles don't function properly. He stops moving, he can't swallow, he can't eat, so he's going to die.
It's okay, baby. It's okay. It's okay.
It looks really nice and pink in there. Yeah, there we go.
It looks healthy.
Oh, look at that. That looks great. He's like, I'm pushing down, he's pushing back up on me. He wasn't doing that before.
Very active today.
So what I'm going to do is take him in the back,
Okay.
get a weight, and I'll get some blood from him, okay?
Great. And,
Exotic animal specialist Dr. Karen Rosenthal needs to do a blood test to see if the treatment to remove the toxins is working.
Okay. If Cecil was well, we wouldn't be able to do this. Then if Cecil was well, we wouldn't be doing this. One of the problems with snake hearts is they beat so slowly, less than 1 beat per second. It takes time to watch that and watch the heart and see where it is and make sure you're going in the right place. Come on, Cecil. Hold on.
Still, Cecil.
He's just moving too much. And then if Cecil starts moving his 26 pounds around, it makes it more difficult because you can find the heart and then you lose it. It's very, very subtle. And because it beats so slowly, this can take forever in a snake. You can see it right there. Okay, let's give this a try again. You guys got him?
Mm-hmm. There you go.
How's he doing down there?
Seems relaxed.
Tell him he can have orange juice and cookies after we're done with this. Put your finger there? Okay, good job.
We've used flea collars successfully in preventing mites. In our boa's cages, in doing the same thing with in Cecil's cage, we almost killed him. So what works for one kind of snake doesn't necessarily work for another one. It's a good lesson to learn.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cecil's prognosis is probably good because he's responding to the medication. The other thing that's in his corner is that he has some of the most dedicated owners I've ever seen, and they're doing everything they can to make him better. Time will tell, but with the people that take care of him, he'll probably live many more years.
Later that same night, a 2-year-old cat is admitted in serious condition. Dr. Tim Rocha takes over Tiffany's care.
I asked Mr. Hidalgo what had happened, and he said that his cat had fallen out of the window, and my next question was, well, what floor was that? And that was the 8th floor. She's in shock. That's a bad height because she's lost a fair amount of blood, so we need to get some fluid support to her.
My mother, she was fine, and she just came downstairs and she saw the cat, and she was like, she was crying and stuff. So I just came over here real quick as possible.
Tiffany fell in that 6 to 10 story height where we see more severe injuries. By that time, they've reached the terminal speed of 60 miles per hour, but they haven't had enough time to get themselves in the right position to land. So those are the ones that actually do the worst. She had 2 very severe breaks in her left leg, and she probably lost a fair amount of blood from the open wounds where her bones had broken through her skin. Once his heart system is stable, we could take him to surgery tomorrow. An open fracture of a limb is not something that I can say, I hope your cat does fine, here's some antibiotics, and send him out the door. There are 2 things to do humanely for this cat. 1 is to fix his leg. 2 would be to put the cat to sleep. That's very tough stuff.
The financial situation right now is real tight, but I can't just put her to sleep.
By the next day, Tiffany's condition is stabilized enough for surgery. Her owner and doctors decide to proceed.
So what she has is a grade 1 open fracture.
Head of surgery, Dr. Paul Sheely, will perform the complex operation with the help of surgical resident Gary Lindgren.
There were some bruises in her chest and a break of her back leg that was open, but Tiffany fell 8 stories and landed on the pavement below.
She's a very lucky kitty because we see most of our injuries with high-rise is between the 5th and the 9th floor.
If we look at humans and dogs, there's almost 100% fatality over 6 stories. Because cats tend to fall splay-legged, they seem to do a lot better than humans or dogs do.
So we've got 2 pieces rather than multiple pieces.
We decided to repair her by putting a bone plate with bone screws to help align the bone ends and eventually form new bone there so that she can have functional use of her leg.
Sometimes you have to get creative. So what we're going to try to do, since this is so difficult, is actually try to get the plate attached to the bottom part of the fracture and use the plate to help lever the fracture into place. Our plans are to use the plate to help hold everything in alignment. So you can see we got a continuity of the bone.
It looks very good post-op, except for there's some loss of bone in places where we don't like to have it. With time, that'll fill in, and she'll probably go back to normal, so I think she'll do well.
2 days after surgery, John Hidalgo comes to take Tiffany home.
You got her? Yeah, I got her. How you doing, man? She looks much better. It was just amazing. She looks like she was real happy to see me. She looks great.
The fracture, it was pretty bad, and we're kind of... It's going to be a race between how quickly her bone heals, how quickly our screws loosen, and whether or not she's going to get an infection. Hopefully, Tiffany's going to come out on top.
With each passing day, Cecil the python is getting stronger.
You're such a good boy. We had to give him injections twice a day for well over a month now. We're still doing that. It's very difficult for me to inflict pain on him. That's been hard. I think the hardest part.
She doesn't like to give injections. I have to do it.
We make him be the evil one.
I'm the evil one in the family. And it's better to learn how to do it yourself, because then you don't have to keep going back to the vets, number one, and it costs you less money, number two. A lot of people don't understand that snakes are just as loving as any other animal that they can have, and you definitely fall in love with them. They're our pets, and we love them dearly, and we would do anything for them.
Such a good boy.
And that's it. Dr. Rosenthal understands that. She has her own reptiles, and she definitely understands the bond that you develop between any animal.
Have a good day. See you later, boo. When he's stronger, you can wear him around your neck, and he just hugs you. It's such a wonderful feeling. There's nothing better than a hug from Cecil. He is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful snake. He's so sweet. I think he's gonna make it.
It's been 10 days since Tiffany fell from the 8th-story window of her apartment. Her leg is healing well.
The only 2 windows that don't have screens, accidentally, one of them was left just a tad open, and she must have been playing with Rambo or something. She must have just gone outside adventure, and this is what happened.
Any cat standing on the ledge of a window looking out would be able to see that they're 8 stories up, and it's not going to make an effort to jump out the window. Unfortunately, cats will jump from the floor onto the windowsill, and they might not estimate the distance right.
It only takes one little slip for this to happen.
If you don't have any screens, I advise that screens be put in because they're very important, and that's how a lot of cats die. Come on, eat. There you go.
3 months later, John and his mother Betty got another surprise.
I didn't know Tiffany was pregnant. She must have been pregnant, during the surgery, but just didn't come through, x-rays. And she gave birth.
Tiffany trajo, pues, al mundo 5
Tiffany brought 5 adorable kittens into the world.
de los cuales
She is a very loving mother.
cariñosa mamá, fue como un milagro.
It really was a miracle that she was able to survive.
She has her title, 9 lives cat. I guess she has 8 now.
Next.
You think the worst, but 4 victims at the house. And I knew that it was a very bad scene.
Don. For one family in Prairie Village, Kansas, being viewers of Rescue 911 brought them an unexpected advantage early on the morning of November 11th, 1993. "16-year-old Justin White was the first family member to wake up that morning.
What happened to the family frustrates me a lot because it could have been very easily prevented. We generally had that attitude, it can't happen to us, but it did.
Come on, Brand, let's go. Time to get up, go to school. Come on, Brand, move your butt.
And I went in to wake my brother up.
Come on, let's go. I'm running late and I ain't got time for your games. Let's go. Let's get your butt out of bed.
He didn't want to wake up. He was acting like he was real sick.
Because I gotta get up.
And I thought he was faking it just to get out of school that day because it was miserable outside.
I feel good.
Get you in the shower now.
He was kind of crying, and then he collapsed onto the floor.
Mom?
Their parents, Kim and Don Brooks, were asleep just down the hall.
It was really hard to get awake that morning, but I heard a commotion in the hallway. So I finally talked myself out of bed.
He looked like he had the flu. There's a big flu bug going around the city.
What's wrong, bud? Brandon? I said, come on, why don't you get up? And he said, I can't move. I'm paralyzed.
Hey, Don?
What?
Panic kicked in.
And they're thinking about putting him back asleep.
What's going on? Kim? Kim? Jeez.
Once my mom collapsed, my dad said it clicked into his head. that it was carbon monoxide poisoning.
Open the doors and get them outside.
He said get them out of the house.
Fire an ambulance. Where do you need us?
7843.
7843. What's the problem there?
Carbon monoxide. It's in the house. My wife went down and my son went down.
Are they awake?
Yes, I got them awake and I got them outside.
Okay.
Johnson County dispatcher Darlene Walker took the call.
A small quantity of carbon monoxide can be lethal. He was in danger the longer he stayed inside. Most people that die from carbon monoxide poisoning die in their sleep.
Stay outside of the house. We've got the fire department and an ambulance on the way.
I gotta go.
Yeah, get out there.
All right.
The biggest fear I had when I got this call, would they still be awake when he got back out there?
1144, 223, 1104.
Rescue units were immediately dispatched. Prairie Village Police Corporal Steve Hunter was nearest to the scene.
We received a call from a dispatcher that there was a carbon monoxide poisoning at number 38's address, which is Sergeant Brooks's badge number.
Ed? He became unconscious at that time.
Shannon, come. Come here, girl.
And they were very pale, very blue looking. They weren't moving any. I thought they were dead.
You think the worst with 4 victims at the house. And I knew that it was a very bad scene.
Don. Don.
The carbon monoxide was so strong there at the front door that I went in probably 15 seconds or less and immediately received a headache.
Can you hear me?
The last 17 years of police work, I've never seen any survivors from carbon monoxide.
Among those who responded was MedAct ambulance paramedic John Linville.
The main symptoms of carbon monoxide, the early symptoms are ringing in the ears, maybe some visual difficulties, nausea, vomiting, a throbbing headache.
An engine company from Fire District Number 2 arrived, led by Lieutenant John Allen.
I bunked up, put on my air pack and my carbon monoxide monitor. My firefighter just at the front door had a reading of 200 parts per million. Right then, those people are really in danger. In the back rooms, where the air hadn't really had a chance to naturally ventilate, our reading went as high as 300 parts per million.
At St. Joseph Health Center, all 4 members of the Brooks family were treated by emergency physician Mike Riley.
We measured their carbon monoxide levels. Father's was the highest at 26%. Mother's was second, around 20%. And both boys measured at 19%. The normal concentration of carbon monoxide in the blood is closer to 1 to 2%.
The doctor told us if we'd been in the house 10 more minutes, we'd be dead.
The Tuesday before this happened, we'd been watching an episode of Rescue 911, and they had a segment on a carbon monoxide poisoning. And for some reason, and to this day, I still don't understand why, but that is the first thing that popped into my head. If we hadn't seen the episode of 911, I would have picked them up and put them back in bed thinking it was the flu. And had I done that, we would have died.
10 months have passed. The Brooks family is still suffering long-term side effects from their carbon monoxide poisoning.
The boys are having problems with thought process, working in school. Don's been put on what they call light duty right now at the police department. I would call him, as they would say, the best of the best. He always wanted to be there. He always wanted to be in the middle of everything. And he's just not that way anymore.
Johnson and Rayfield.
They've likened what happened to me to having a mild stroke. I've never worn glasses before in my life. It affected my speech, memory loss. My guys at the Prairie Village Police Department. It was a very strange feeling that I would be the one that they had to come to instead of me being the one having to go to somebody.
Brandon was really afraid. He kept saying, I thought they were dead. I thought my parents had died. And it wasn't until I read his letter that I realized really how much they were upset.
A subsequent investigation determined that the buildup of carbon monoxide was caused by improper furnace venting.
Carbon monoxide is a killer. It creeps into your house and it creeps into your body, and you don't even know what's there. I think everybody should have a carbon monoxide detector in their home.
My dad that morning saved the whole family, which was the biggest satisfaction, I think, of any award he's ever gotten. He received none for this one, but it was more satisfying than anything he's ever done in his life.
Mr. Shapiro, step out of the car, please.